How's the audio doing here? Good. Okay, can folks hear me at home? Good, thank you. Sorry, I am late. Had a hiccup at home, but we're here. So, yes. Are there any questions? So the plan for today is to primarily talk about the Mad Lib assignment and go over sort of what's necessary there, which is basically a continuation of the HTML work that we were doing last week. And then, but I'm also happy to sort of answer any questions that people have about the encryption lab from Friday or anything else at the moment. The reminder that the idea is that we'll have the take-home exam, the in-class exam will be Friday in class, and that will be structured similarly to the exam for the in-class part of the first exam. And we'll basically spend Wednesday talking about what might be on the exam and going over, sort of doing review. And then I'm hoping to actually hand out the take-home exam Wednesday or Thursday, and then that will be due the following week. It's currently set to be due on Tuesday. And then we'll have a couple of assignments, and that'll be the end of the semester, because holy moly, we're just about done. And I need to work out the details of those assignments. I'm changing some things from how this was done last time, but we'll be jumping ahead to chapters 16 and 17. Those are the last two chapters in the book, and there'll be an assignment on chapter 16 and an assignment on chapter 17. And then that'll be the end of the semester. So, questions about anything before we return to the Mad Lib thing? So I'm going to actually pull up the Mad Lib assignment and share. So I want to go over kind of what the plan is, see if there are questions. So Zoom, share, Mad Lib, share. Okay. So here's the assignment on Canvas. So the basic idea is to combine the Mad Lib idea from earlier in the semester with the ability to build web pages. So before, we just built simple pieces of text. Now we'll actually build a web page that will include pictures. So one of the things that we have to talk about today is how to include an image in a HTML file so that you can have pictures show up. So that'll be one of the key things to talk about today. And so the idea is that you will make a function called makeMadlib, okay? And it will be in a file named madlib dash and then your last name. So I would have madlib dash McPhee. And you will have at least two other functions. I would encourage you probably to have more helper functions, but you need to have at least two other functions, info gather and pre-chosen info. And the difference between these are pre-chosen info is, so if you think about a Mad Lib as sort of a fill in the blank exercise, you've got some text and you've got some holes you need to fill in. Pre-chosen info calls Mad Lib with choices that you make to fill in the holes. So it fills in the holes with a set of things that you choose as a way of demonstrating that yes, indeed, your makeMadlib actually works. Okay, Does that part make sense? Questions about that? Yes. Questions at home? Questions here? No. Info gather is the more interesting, quote unquote, version of the pair, which is instead of you just plugging in things for the holes, which means you get the same story every time you run. So every time you run pre-chosen info, you should get exactly the same story. Info gather should allow the user to fill in the holes. So you should ask the user, give me a noun, give me a kind of food, give me a picture of a kind of food. And then the user should be able to answer those questions, and we'll talk about what that would look like in class today. And then they get their own story, right? So info gather is sort of how the Mad Lib game was meant to be played, however you want to interpret that, where the user doesn't know what the story is, they fill in the blanks, and then they get a funny story and everybody giggles and it's all fun. So does that make sense? Questions about that, peeps? All right. And then your Mad Lib function should generate an HTML file with your last name followed by HTML. So I would have mcphee.html. So when we run this, we ought to get an HTML file. And then there's various expectations. So your text should have at least 20 sentences. So we're looking for a slightly long-ish. I mean, nothing, profound. Don't write a novel, but something, with a little content to it. Have a little fun. And you should have at least 20 picture references or text prompts. Okay. So they don't all need to be pictures. They don't all need to be text. You want to have some mixture of the two. It's probably easier to have more text prompts. If you have a bunch of pictures, people end up having to do a lot of picture choosing, and it makes it sort of slow. But do as you see fit, okay? Each image you ask the user to input should appear in the story, if that's not sort of obvious. Character in the story must speak in quotes at least once. So there should be a situation where you have like, Mary said, quote, I'm going to the store, end quote, right? And that's important because you need to then be able to manage quotes inside of quoted strings. Your sentences should be grammatically correct and punctuated. Like you're actually writing a piece of text, not just blurping characters on the keyboard. It's not like you're going to get hammered for, a missing comma or something. So don't freak out about that, but, do proofread it. For at least 2 of the 4 images used as input. So that implies there should be at least 4 images. It doesn't actually say that anywhere. I should actually make that explicit. My apologies. I just realized I sort of got a gap there. So there should be at least 4 images, and at least for 2 of them, the same image should be in at least 2 different sizes. And I'll show you how to do the size thing today as part of showing you how to include an image in HTML. Okay. And then I think this mostly repeats things that we've talked about already. Yeah. And then the TA will run pre-chosen info. That should just generate a story right away. They ought to be able to look at that. Then they can run info gather, which then they would enter things. And then they would get another HTML file, which they ought to be able to look at. Okay. And there's some sample code at the bottom showing you kind of roughly what this might look like to try to make your life a little simpler. So make Mad Lib is going to take a path, which is should probably be something generated by set media path, because we need to know where to find the pictures. And then things. Here, this has got 3 things. You should have more like 20 things. But this is just to keep it simple. And then here, like pre-chosen info, call set media path to figure out where stuff's going to be. Color string is gray. Noun 1 string is tadpole. pick file one is get media path, and then the name of some image. And then it calls make madlib with that path, which will be where this picture is, the color string, the noun string, and the pick file. Okay. And then your make madlib ought to like put all that together into a piece of HTML that you can display. Questions? Good. And then info gather, like I said, is slightly more interesting. So we set a media path. We ask them for a color. We ask them for a noun. We say, hey, pick a photo of a person from your computer. We call pick a file, and that'll bring up that file chooser box. And they can go around and find a picture of a person. And then it calls make madlib with path, color, noun, and pick file one. So that then hopefully will also make a madlib. Okay? Does that make sense? And there's an example zip file down here that's got Python code, HTML, and image files. So if you want to play with that, you can. And so the plan for today is to first explain how images work in HTML, because we need to know that, and then come back and actually insert this code into our example file, and then actually make enough of make madlib down here so that it actually makes a simple story with these three inputs as an example. Okay. Whew. Questions? That was a lot of talking. I feel like maybe Joseph has a question. No? No question, Joseph? Anybody at home have a question? How my cool people at home doing? Thumbs up if we're happy. Cool. Thank you. Okay. Then let's actually go back to how pictures work. So I've got a link here at the top of the Madlib assignment on adding images to web pages. And this is another W3 Schools page. And this shows you the basic structure of an image tag. So you have, unlike most of the tags we looked at, there is no close, because an image doesn't have an image tag and then some stuff and then an end. It's sort of like put a picture here and then it's done. So it has the IMG, which says we're putting in an image. So image without the vowels, because somehow computer scientists hate vowels. I don't really understand this hang up. And then SRC, which is the word source without the vowels. Again, like no vowels. And this is where is the picture? And this could be a reference to a file on the file system. It could also actually be a full URL, a reference to an image out in the world. You can do actually a lot of things here. We'll just do file references. That's all we need. But you can actually do some fairly fancy things here. And then an alt tag. Now the alt tag is not strictly necessary. Oh, and they used a vowel. Aren't we excited? The alt tag is not strictly necessary. It is there, so you could leave this off and this would still work. The alt tag is there to display in cases where the picture may not be displayable. So for example, if this web page was being looked at by somebody who is visually impaired, they might be using a screen reader to read the contents to them. Well, if they get to a picture, what does the screen reader do? Like, it can't understand the picture. So we give it a little text like girl in a jacket to describe this picture, so that the screen reader would say something like a picture of a girl in a jacket, or something like that. And then the person hearing the page can then, do with that as they wish. And so that's the idea behind the alt tag. It also alt tags are not useful just for visually impaired people and screen readers. There are a lot of systems that read web pages and do analysis on them to improve the performance of things like search engines. And so if you have a bunch of pictures of kittens and you alt them all as pictures of cute kittens, then your web page is more likely to show up if somebody does a search for cute kittens than if you either don't alt them or alt them as, you know, demon spawn or something unpleasant that people don't search. Well, somebody probably does search for that, but that's another matter. If you provide meaningful alt information, that can improve things like searchability, okay? Now, we're not going to actually care about alt here. It's not part of the expectation of the grading, but you know, it's a thing you should think about because we want to have our web pages as accessible as possible. Okay? So that's really all you have to do to insert an image. And if you do that, woo, it'll actually load the image up. You can also do things like change the size. There we go. So you can specify how big the image should be. And actually, it's easier probably to look at this example because this is simpler. You can add a width or a height or both to the image. And it will then scale the image up or down so that it has the specified height. So if we say this image should be 500 pixels wide and 600 pixels tall, if it was originally 1,000 by 1,200, that'll make it half as big in both dimensions. And that probably looks fine. If it was originally 250 by 300, that'll actually make it bigger and it'll probably look fairly pixely. That'll like blow up the pixels like we've seen earlier in this class where we made pictures bigger and it sort of made the pixels larger. But here you really tend to want to keep the pictures from not being too huge because it makes the web page look really silly. So if you specify only one dimension, it will scale both dimensions according to that one dimension. So if the width was 1,000 and we say the width should be 500, it'll make the height half as big as well, whatever the height had been to begin with. So if it had been 800, it would get dropped to 400. If it was only 200, it'd be dropped to 100. Similarly, if we specify a height but not a width, it'll scale both of them uniformly. If you specify both, it will just scale both of them as you say, which could change the aspect ratio of the picture. So if you had a panorama that's like 2,000 wide by 200 tall, and you say you want it to be 500 by 600, that'll squidge that thing in so it's much narrower and jump it up a lot, like 3 times, and it'll look real weird, right? So you'd want to be thoughtful about setting both height and width if you don't know for sure what the picture is going to look like. I would tend to set one of them, but not both of them, because then that'll keep the aspect ratio more normal. So that's the battle plan. And if there's a note here about, encouraging you to always specify the height and the width. This isn't a big deal, and we're not going to worry about it, but it is useful to specify them because then the web page knows how big a hole to leave. Because one of the things that will happen is the web page gets all the text first, and then it goes and asks for the pictures as a later step. And if you're on a slowish internet, so you're on your cell phone and you don't have a great connection, or you're in a coffee shop with terrible Wi-Fi. Nobody goes to coffee shops anymore, but back in the day, it used to happen. You might get the text right away, and the images might take a while to come. I mean, and by a while here, we might mean half a second, but humans can perceive that. And if the web browser knows how big the picture will be, it can leave exactly the right size hole and lay the text out around that hole. If it doesn't know how big the picture is going to be, it lays the text out, and then as the picture information comes in, the text will hop around as it's like, oh no, that picture's bigger than I thought it was going to be. I have to push all the text down. So you get a less pleasant user experience. Not a huge deal, but, and it's, again, not a major issue for us. But I wanted to mention it. So questions, comments before we actually try this? Anything? Okay. Well, let's actually add a picture. I'm going to go back to sharing Jess. In fact, I think I will share the whole screen because we're going to be bouncing around some, and that's just going to be simpler. So I think that's the whole screen, right? Yeah, okay. So this is the code we had from last Wednesday where we were making a web page. So we have the make page, which takes a title, a heading, and a paragraph. It made a head, it made a body. It joined all that up with the doc type string, and it returned the result, okay? Are there questions about this old code before we like add to it and make it more complicated? Okay. Now let's add a simple picture. So we'll add an image. And then I'm going to make, let's see, let's call this a picture file. Make image picture file. And then I'm going to add the image. So we'll have, oh, actually put the image at the top. That's the start of web. Oh, hell, what have I done? Sorry, I hit arrow keys and bad things happened. So it's nice to have a picture at the top of a web page and then the contents below it. So we'll put the picture up at the top. Okay. And let's def make my page. So this is going to be like what was it called in the oops, not that. Help. Oh, stop it. There we go. In the Mad Lib assignment, that was, oh, sorry, scrolling around way too much. Pre-chosen info. So this is like pre-chosen info where I'm going to just fill in the pieces of the page. So I'm going to say make page, Nick's amazing page. Oh, let's call it Nick's page. Oh, in the header, we can say Nick's amazing page. The paragraph will be, this is my remarkable web page. And then I need an image. So I need an image file. So I'm going to say set media path. And I'm going to say show information. Please enter, or please pick a picture. And then image file equals pick a file. I'm basically just copying this set of information right here to get that picture image file, and that will then get passed along to make page, and then yes, I should say result equals, and then I'll return result. Okay. Questions? Well, I guess we also have to figure out how to write to a file. That would be an important step here, because really we don't want to return this result as much as we want to write this out to a file. So I wonder if that's going to be in here. No, not obviously. Okay. Let's find where it is in the book so we can refer to it. That will make your life simpler. Files. There we go, 319. Okay, so section 11.3.1 of the textbook, this is on page 319, has information on dealing with files and how to actually write a file out to a string, how to write a string out to a file. So we're going to do that. I'm actually going to hold off on that for a second. Let's make sure what we have works with the images, because that's not even complete yet. They're still missing a piece. And then we'll add the file writing, and then that should make this fairly complete. So let's imagine I don't remember that I'm missing something, and so I say load program, and I try make my page, and it says I need to pick a picture. Oh no, this is set media path. I need to set media path. Should have probably had a prompt for that too. So I'll do that. And now it says, please pick a picture. And so we'll pick, we'll pick a dog. There we go, dog. And it got here and it died saying, hey, you don't have a function. You don't have a function called make image yet. The error value is global name make image not defined. So I called this make image file, and that was supposed to make the image tag, and I didn't actually define that. So I got to do that. Def make image, and I'm going to pass the image make image picture file. And so if we flip back over here and look at our example again, actually, I'll just copy the example. Copy, paste. So that's what we want to make. We're going to have to think about how we want to build that up. So, result, we'll start with image src equals, oh, notice I've got quotes here in the string I'm trying to build, and I'm building a string. So I have this problem of quotes inside of quotes. So I'm going to actually use this single quote here for my outer quote so that I'm allowed to use inner quote, double quotes as my inner quotes. So that gives me the beginning of this tag. It gives me this much of it. Okay, does that make sense? Now, result equals result plus, and if you can use the format thing would actually be really much better here. But since format doesn't work on this computer, I'm going to do it the old-fashioned, just append a bunch of stuff together way. You can do it either way. The format's going to be cleaner and easier to think about, I suspect. So do as you see fit. But now we want to put in the picture file. So that gives us this part here. Now we want the double quote, which ends here. I'm going to skip the alt part because we don't even know what this picture is going to be of in general. And then I'm going to say width equals, let's say 400. In quotes, 400 quote. And I'm going to leave the height out. And then I need a close angle bracket. Boom. So the first part, oops, I need result plus. So the first part gives me up to here. The second part sticks the file name in, which is coming from outside. I don't know what that'll be. And the last part gives me, let's see if we remove the alt and the height. The last part, oops, I lost width, W and width. The last part gives us this piece here. And that completes the image tag. Okay. So actually, I'll leave that there as sort of a reminder of what this does. So now that might work. Fingers crossed. Okay. Oh, actually, it won't work entirely because I need to actually say get media path here to make sure I have the full path to the file. You may or may not need that, but it's safer probably to include it. So, so now I say load, and now I try to run my thing again. So I need to set media path. I'll say media sources. Please pick a picture. And I'll go over find dog again. And oh, I returned it, but I forgot to actually give it a name. Oops. So it just looked like nothing happened. Whenever you return a function, you got to like catch the result, and I totally failed to do that. So we do it again because it's fun. And oops. Okay, we'll do flower. Oh, we'll do fish. Fish. Now, look at my page. Whoa, empty. What is this empty? Oh, make page doesn't return anything. I build it, but I don't return anything. I am a doofus. So I've made at least two major mistakes here. One is make page never got around to returning anything. So it built up the result and then just threw it away. Like, you know, I paid you to do all the work, you did it, and then you threw it in the trash and walked away. Like, oh, that was not helpful. So I needed to return the result. I needed to give it back to whoever asked for it. And then whoever asked for it needed to make sure to save it somewhere. And I wasn't doing that because I didn't have a name to assign it to. So now, hopefully, unless somebody sees another problem, with a little luck, this will actually work this time. Please pick a picture. Yes. Dog. Go. Now my page better be some H. What? Oh, I didn't reload. Fire me today. I am not good. Now you work. You will work. I find that shouting at computers definitely helps. Okay, not, but it doesn't stop me from shouting at them. Please. Yes, some HTML. Hurrah. Okay, So let's see if this actually works. And notice, like, we can see what's going on here. We've got our doc string. We've got our HTML tag and our close HTML tag. We have our head tag, our end head tag, our title, our close title. That is indeed the title that I provided. Oh, IMAG. That is wrong. I must have typed something incorrectly because I'm clearly not doing well today. Make image probably has a typo in it. Yep, IMAG, source equals. I clearly wanted to use a vowel that I was not allowed to use. So that is wrong. Source equals users McPhee desktop, blah, 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 blah. Whoa. Oh, actually, putting get media path on this was, it looks like that was a terrible idea because it looks like I got the media path on this thing twice. So actually, let's also get rid of that. That seems to have been a bad plan. Undo. Oh, where am I? What have I done? Here we are. And then we got to dog. That's good with 400. Another problem. So ignoring all the other problems for the moment, this is my image tag, and it's outside the body. It's before the body. And the body tag is where, inside the body tag is where all the actual content goes. So putting the image before the body is actually not going to work. I don't even think it'll display the image if I put it up there. I'm not entirely sure, and it's probably browser dependent and a bad idea to like depend on this working. So I'm actually going to need to move the image tag into the body instead of in front of the body. And then I want to put it probably before the H1. Okay, that was a lot. Questions about any of that before we like try to fix some of these things? I guess we fixed everything except for where the image tag goes. So the image tag can't go here. It needs to become part of the body. So actually I need to, oh, man. I'm constantly hitting arrow keys that do the wrong thing. So I'm gonna actually move this there, and I'm gonna say heading, image, and paragraph. And that means the image will be part of the body. So now I need to go up to make body. So heading, image, paragraph. So I'll have the heading section, then I'll have the paragraph section, and the body will be heading section plus image plus paragraph section, wrapped in a body tag. So fingers crossed, that will actually do the right thing. Whew. Oh my. Questions? I've moved through a lot of stuff very quickly. Feel free to be like, whoa, I am lost. Slow down. Any questions at home? Going. Okay. So let's do this one more time because it's such fun. Load the program. Oh yeah, I want to say, whoa, didn't like that. There's a spacing error. What is my spacing error? What is my spacing error? Might be from the previous line, but I think it's on. Oh, I've got a closed paren here that doesn't have an open paren. That was, I think, the problem. Haha. Okay, try one more time because this is just such fun. Open, take a picture. Dog.jpg. Come here, there's dog. Now, my page. Okay, so we have doc type, HTML, close HTML, head, close head, title, close title, next page, body, end body, H1, next amazing page, H1, image, dog, width 400, paragraph, this is my remarkable page, end paragraph. That actually looks like that might work. So if we copy that and make a new file and save that as not in that directory, I want to go up one. Web page with image.html. Yes, I'm okay with that. Now over here, open web page with image should be down here at the bottom. No, we don't have a dog. And we got this annoying backslash. That's not a problem we're going to solve today. With the dog, why no dog? That's really frustrating. So the source should be all of that stuff. Huh. So one thing you can do is you can actually let's try this. You can open images in your browser and see what the link looks like. This will be all the stuff we need to get down to dog.jpg. There we go. Open. So, yeah, you can see that. So there's the path. And that looks like our path, unless all of the double slashes are the problem. And the double slashes could be the issue, because that's the same thing that we were getting with the backslash on the apostrophe, and that didn't seem to be a happy thing. So let us see if we just remove the extra slash every time. Is that going to make it better? So I'm not entirely sure how we best deal with that problem. Save, reload, and no, that did not fix anything. Ah! Curses, I'm doomed today. Have unexpected and bad things happen. Users McPhee, desktop, blah, blah, blah. So didn't want that, I wanted this. Users, McPhee, unless it's all the backslashes, but I think that should work on a Windows box. I think this is going to fix anything. If it does, I'm not at all sure what to do about it. No, that didn't fix it. Didn't think it would. Well, I am somewhat baffled. I'm going to undo the backslashes because I think those should have been left alone. Am I doing the backslashes? Oh, there. Backslash. Oh, stop it. There is. There it is. Does anybody see anything obvious that I've done that's stupid? Because I've made like 18 stupid mistakes today. So if anybody sees something obvious that I've done, just put my foot in. I would love to hear about it. I'm going to actually, so we can see the whole thing here. I'm going to change the white space. This shouldn't make any difference, but it'll make it a little easier to look at in case somebody sees something that's screaming broken. Anybody see anything that calls to you and says that is definitely busted? Nobody is seeing anything. Okay. Okay. So let me think for a second. Having the Mad Lib due on Friday really depended on this example working. Because now, like, I have no reason to believe that I'm going to magically fix it in the next 11 minutes. I don't see what's wrong, so I'm not sure what to do. I mean, I've got a lot of ideas on things to try, but they'll mostly be confusing for you to watch. So I think it's reasonable to assume that this will not work by the end of class today. If it does not work by the end of class today, I don't see how you could be expected reasonably to do the Mad Lib assignment by Friday, especially if we want to have time Wednesday to talk about the exam. So I think we got a couple of options. One is to push the exam, like leave this due on Friday, plan on talking about this on Wednesday, and push the exam into next week some. It's not my first preference, but it's an option. The other is just to say, no, this will be due sometime next week after we have, but basically we'll get through the whole exam, then come back and clean this up, and then get this done. That's not optimal either because it plops the exam in the middle of trying to think about the Mad Lib thing, which is sort of weird. So I would love to hear from the assembled multitudes. If you go to, actually I'm going to stop sharing because that'll make it easier for me to see what's going on. If you, oh, actually, I can make a poll. Quick, make a poll. Preferences this week. And so, yeah, the two of you that are here, if you log into Zoom while I'm making the poll, that would be good. How would you prefer to structure Mad Lib and exam. So one option is MadLib due Friday, exam moved to next week, Monday or Wednesday. The other option would be exam, in-class exam, still Friday, MadLib due next week, probably like Wednesday. I don't know, is there a third option people want to have on the exam, on the poll? Not hearing anything. Save. Now, if I come back to here, I think preferences for this week is an option. Launching the poll. Vote away, peeps. I probably should have left it, I don't care. Four votes so far. Oops, 6, 7. 7 votes in out of 9 votes. And that's, how many people do we have here? 14 minus 2 of me is 12 students. 10 votes in. Oh man. It is an exact tie at the moment with 10 votes. That's really awkward. I was really hoping for a clear, like, one way or the other. That's awkward. That means I have to decide. I don't want to decide. Yeah, man, gotta like be in charge. What's that about? Does anybody who hasn't voted want to like jump in quick? Because there are, I think, 2 people that haven't voted. Going, and gone. So I think I just shared the results with everybody. Did you just get a little result box? Yep. So Wahoo, like I said, exactly 50-50. That is interesting. Okay, so I'm not going to make a new poll on this, but I do want to ask a question. Of the people that voted to not move the exam, so the people that wanted the exam to be this week, is there anybody, and you could say something in chat, or you could just raise your hand, or you could say something out loud, whatever works for you. Is there anybody who would be put at a disadvantage if we move the exam? Is there anybody that's got like a crazy busy week next week, and you had everything kind of built around the exam being Friday, and if we move it to next week, it's really going to make a mess for you? You're going to be at somebody's wedding on Wednesday, or I don't know, you've got like 8 papers next week. Is there anybody that has that kind of an issue? Going. Okay. Nobody has a huge problem with moving it. I'm going to actually move the exam. I think that's I'd rather not break the MadLib thing up into 2 pieces. I realize that, you know, this changes what it said on the syllabus. And like I said, if this is a problem for you, let me know. We can work something out. But if this works for people, that's my inclination, is to move the exam. So there will not be an exam Friday. I will still try to get the take-home exam passed out so that you can be starting on that. And then we'll do the in-class exam probably on Monday. And I will fix this MadLib mess. So Wednesday, we'll get the MadLib thing all cleaned up. And then, and you should be able to start the Mad Lib with everything but the images, right? You've got everything you need minus the images at this point. And we just need to figure out why the images don't work. But all the rest of it, so you could be writing your story and putting in your blanks for the words that you want to ask people about. All of that should be totally doable, and it's just the images that need to be cleaned up. So if we get those sorted out by Wednesday, then I think we should be good. And then we'll get that done by the end of the week. Then we'll work on the exam next week, and that'll be excellent as well. So apologies for the confusion. I did not expect that to go boom. And I'm not really sure what's happening there. Oh yeah, sorry so in the chat, there was a question about getting the video from Wednesday posted last week, and I should totally do that. And I should make sure I get this lecture posted right away as well. So try to make sure both of those are done within the next hour or two, and we'll have those on YouTube. Yeah, thank you. So good catch. Other questions? You got 2 minutes. Ask an amazing question. I will post the Python code on Canvas as normal, but know that it doesn't work, right? I mean, at least the image part doesn't actually display properly. So, oh, I'll actually make a note even about that in the, so anything else? Going. I will see everybody on Wednesday. Again, apologies for the confusion. And I'll update the schedule on Canvas and get the labs posted as soon as I can. So, I mean, the lectures posted as soon as I can. So, see everybody later. Ciao.